There's a moment that ruins everything. You feel it building in your chest like a storm. Someone disrespects you. Someone crosses the line. Someone pushes that button they know they shouldn't push. And in that moment, in that single breath before the explosion, you have a choice you don't even know you're making. Let the rage take you or kill it where it stands. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman who ever lived, had a technique for this. A mental weapon so precise, so devastating that it could extinguish rage in a single heartbeat. Not suppress it, not manage it, destroy it instantly. And here's what nobody tells you about rage. It's not your enemy. It's your master. The moment you feel it, you've already lost control. You've already become the puppet. But what if you could cut the strings in 2 seconds? What if you could stand in the fire and feel nothing but cold, calculated calm? The question isn't whether you get angry. The question is, will you learn the kill switch before rage destroys everything you've built? Daniel Kovac was 38 years old when his 8-year-old daughter asked him a question that shattered his world. "Daddy, why do you always yell at Mommy?" They were sitting at breakfast, normal Tuesday morning. But that question landed like a bomb. Daniel looked at his daughter's face. Those eyes that used to light up when he came home now held caution, fear, measuring whether today would be a good day or a bad day. His wife Emma sat across the table, not looking at him. She'd stopped looking at him months ago. She just managed him now like a diplomat navigating a war zone. And Daniel knew it. He'd become exactly what he swore he'd never be. His own father had been a raging tyrant, and here he was, watching his daughter's eyes hold the same fear he'd felt as a child. That night, Emma told him she was taking Sophia to her mother's house. For how long, I don't know yet. Daniel felt rage spike immediately, but Emma's voice stayed flat and final. "Daniel, you don't raise your voice. You detonate. You explode over nothing and then act like everyone else is too sensitive. You've punched 3 holes in walls this year. You've made our daughter afraid of you. I love you, but I can't let Sophia grow up thinking this is normal." She walked to the bedroom and closed the door. Daniel sat alone in the darkness, feeling something worse than rage. Pure, devastating shame. He pulled out his phone and started searching desperately. How to stop being angry. Anger management. How to control rage. The articles all said the same useless things. Count to 10, take deep breaths, go for a walk. He'd tried all of it, and none of it worked, because when rage hit, there was no 10 seconds. It was instant, complete, overwhelming. Then he found something different. A video titled, "The Ancient Japanese Method to Stop Rage Instantly." An old Japanese man appeared on screen, maybe 70s, with the kind of calm that only comes from surviving decades of internal war. "My name is Takashi Yamada. I teach a technique from Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history. 61 duels, never lost. But his greatest victory wasn't over other men. It was over his own rage." Musashi discovered something most people never learn. Rage has a moment of vulnerability, a 2-second window where you can kill it instantly. But you must be precise, you must be trained, you must know exactly where to strike. This is not anger management. This is rage assassination. Daniel's hands were shaking as he booked a meeting. 3 days later, he drove 3 hours to a converted garage dojo where Takashi Yamada sat waiting with eyes that saw everything. Takashi gestured for Daniel to sit on the mat. "Tell me what happens in your body right before you explode." Daniel thought about it carefully. "My chest gets tight, my heart races, everything narrows down to whatever made me angry." "Yes, and what happens to your thinking?" "It goes away. I just react?" "Exactly. In that moment, you're not thinking, you're not choosing, you're a program running automatically. You're a puppet and rage is pulling your strings. That's what makes rage so dangerous. It happens faster than thought." Takashi stood and walked to a scroll on the wall showing Japanese characters Daniel couldn't read. "This is Ninen Ichi, 2 minds as one." Musashi wrote that humans have 2 states. Shin, the thinking mind, and mushin, the empty mind. When rage hits, you're trapped in thinking mind, under attack. All your thoughts are contaminated. You can't think your way out of rage because rage has hijacked your thinking. So what do? You don't think your way out. You breathe your way into mushin, into empty mind. Takashi sat back down with intensity burning in his eyes. When rage starts, you have exactly 2 seconds before it takes complete control. But in those 2 seconds, there's a window where you can shift from thinking mind to empty mind, from controlled by rage to controlling everything. Musashi developed a breathing technique specifically designed to interrupt rage. He called it Ibuki no Satsujin, the killing breath. Not killing your enemy, killing your rage. Daniel leaned forward desperately. "Show me." Takashi demonstrated with precision. The moment you feel rage start, take one massive breath in through your nose, fill your lungs completely, maximum capacity, hold it for exactly 1 second, then exhale explosively through your mouth, all at once, emptying your lungs completely. Daniel watched carefully as Takashi repeated it. It looked almost too simple to work. This does 3 things physiologically, Takashi explained. 1, the deep inhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your calming system. 2, holding the breath creates pressure that interrupts the stress response. 3, the explosive exhale dumps the tension before it can build. But the real power isn't physiological, it's mental. That one breath creates a gap, a space between stimulus and response. In that space, you're not reacting, you're observing. You've shifted from shin to mushin, from thinking mind to empty mind. And from empty mind, rage has nothing to grab onto. Daniel tried it, breathing in deep through his nose, holding it, blasting it out through his mouth. His body felt different, calmer, but he was skeptical. That's it? That's the whole technique? No, that's the weapon. But a weapon is useless if you don't know when to use it. You need to learn to feel the rage coming before it arrives, before it takes over. The killing breath only works in the first 2 seconds. After that, you're gone. Takashi pulled out a notebook and handed it to Daniel with clear instructions. For the next 30 days, every time you feel any anger, even mild annoyance, you write down 3 things. 1, what triggered it. 2, what you felt in your body. 3, whether you used the killing breath. You're training awareness, training speed, training precision. Most people don't notice rage until it's already taken over. By then it's too late. You need to recognize your rage signals. Close your eyes and think of the last time you exploded. Daniel closed his eyes and saw himself 3 days ago, exploding at Emma over dishes while watching TV. Now, before the explosion, before you said anything, what did you feel in your body? Daniel focused on the memory carefully. My jaw got tight, my chest felt hot, there was pressure behind my eyes. Good, those are your rage signals. Everyone has them. These signals appear before conscious rage. They're your early warning system. But most people never pay attention, so rage feels sudden and uncontrollable. But it's not. There's always a signal, always a buildup. You just never learn to notice it. If you do this correctly, Takashi continued with absolute certainty, in 30 days you'll be able to kill rage in 2 seconds every single time without fail. Daniel held the notebook feeling like it was too simple. But Takashi's next words changed everything. Musashi killed opponents in a single sword stroke because he spent decades training that stroke until it was perfect. Instant death requires perfect preparation. You're not training to manage anger, you're training to become faster than anger, to strike before it strikes. That's the warrior way. Daniel left the dojo that day and immediately started his practice. Day 1, he called a pizza place to ask their hours. Heart pounding, hands shaking, but he did it. Day 3, someone cut him off in traffic and he felt the rage signal immediately for the first time in his life. Jaw tighten, chest heating. He took the killing breath, massive inhale, hold 1 second, explosive exhale. The rage didn't disappear, but it stopped growing. He didn't honk, didn't curse, just breathed and noticed the anger as a sensation in his body, not as a command to obey. Day 7, his daughter spilled juice at dinner, purple liquid spreading across the white tablecloth. The old Daniel would have exploded, yelled, made her cry, made everyone miserable. The new Daniel felt the rage signal, jaw clenching, chest burning, eyes narrowing, and killed it before it could speak, killing breath. Then calm words. It's okay, honey. Accidents happen. Let's clean it up together. Emma looked at him like he was a stranger. That night she said something that made Daniel realize how far he'd fallen. Daniel, this is the first week in 3 years you haven't lost your temper. I don't know what you're doing, but please keep doing it. Daniel looked at his notebook with 7 entries, 7 victories, and understood something profound. Rage wasn't the problem. His relationship with rage was the problem. For 38 years, he'd believed that when he felt anger, he had to obey it, had to explode, had to release it. But that was a lie. Rage was just a sensation, a feeling with no power except what he gave it. By day 28, something remarkable happened. Daniel's body started doing the killing breath automatically before his mind could interfere. Someone ran a red light, almost hit him, stopped inches from his car. His body breathed before he even realized he was angry. The rage never even formed. It was killed in the cradle before it could be born. He sat in his car with steady hands and calm heart, realizing he'd just accessed what Musashi wrote about. Mushin, empty mind. For 1 second there was no Daniel, no ego, no rage, just empty space where rage tried to exist and found nothing to grab onto. But the real test came on day 30 when his boss called him into the office with devastating news. That project you've been leading, we're giving it to Marcus. He has more experience with this kind of thing. It was a gut punch. 6 months of work, his project, his idea, given to someone else. The old Daniel would have quit, would have screamed about loyalty and recognition, would have burned bridges and destroyed relationships, and proven everyone right about his temper. Daniel felt the rage, and it was massive, overwhelming, the biggest signal he'd experienced since starting training. Jaw, chest, eyes, tunnel vision, everything screaming to explode. He did the killing breath, but it wasn't enough. So he did it again, then again, then again. 4 killing breaths in a row, and slowly, incrementally, the rage receded. Not gone, but no longer in control. He looked at his boss with clear eyes. I'm disappointed. I put a lot into that project, but I understand your decision. He walked out calmly, drove home, and only when alone in his garage did he let himself feel the full weight of it. The disappointment, the hurt, the anger at the unfairness. But he felt it without obeying it, sat with it without exploding, let it wash through him like a storm he didn't have to fight. That night he wrote in his notebook, "Today I learned the difference between feeling anger and obeying anger. I felt everything, but didn't let it make my decisions. Rage tried to kill me today, and I killed it first." But 6 months later came the ultimate test, the one Takashi had warned about. Daniel's phone rang at work. Unknown number. "Mr. Kovac, this is Detective Martinez. Your father has been in an accident, serious accident. You need to come to the hospital." Daniel's father. They hadn't spoken in 2 years, not since the big fight where his father had said unforgivable things, had mocked Daniel's parenting and marriage, had called him weak and disappointing. Daniel had cut him off completely. Now his father was dying, asking for him, wanting to say something. Daniel walked into the hospital room where his father lay small and broken with tubes everywhere. When his father opened his eyes and said, "Daniel, thank you for coming. I need you to know I'm sorry," something exploded inside Daniel. All of it. Every memory, every explosion, every time his father had screamed and destroyed and taught Daniel that rage was strength, the demon tried its final, massive, overwhelming attack. Daniel's jaw clenched hard, his chest burned with volcanic heat, his vision narrowed to a tunnel. Every signal he'd trained to recognize screamed at maximum volume. This was the moment Takashi warned about, the moment that would determine everything, and Daniel took the killing breath. Massive inhale through the nose, held it for 1 second while feeling everything, the rage, the pain, the justified anger, the decades of damage, all of it present and real and valid. Then explosive exhale through the mouth. In the space that followed, Daniel made a choice. He looked at his dying father and saw not a monster, but just a broken man who'd never learned what Daniel had learned, who'd never found a teacher like Takashi, who'd never discovered the killing breath, who'd lived his entire life as a slave to rage and was dying knowing it had cost him everything. "It is what it is," Daniel said it out loud. The rage tried to return, to argue, to insist on justice and revenge, but Daniel breathed again with the killing breath and chose differently. "Dad, I forgive you." The words came from somewhere deeper than thought, not because his father deserved forgiveness, but because Daniel deserved peace. Because rage, even justified rage, was a chain, and Daniel was choosing to cut it. "I don't deserve that," his father whispered through tears. "No, you don't. But I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me. Because I have a daughter and I almost became you. I almost taught her what you taught me, that rage is strength, that explosions are manhood, that control means domination. But I learned something you never learned. Rage is weakness, control is discipline. Strength is the ability to feel everything and choose your response anyway." Daniel stood up calmly. "I have to go. My family is waiting. Goodbye, Dad." He walked out, not exploding, not celebrating, just breathing. He had just killed the demon, not the rage itself, but the belief that rage had to be obeyed, that justified anger gave him permission to destroy, that he was a victim of his emotions. 3 months later, Daniel's co-worker Marcus sat in his living room looking broken and exhausted. "I'm losing everything, man. My marriage, my kids, my health. I can't stop exploding. My wife took the kids to her mother's house. I sat alone and realized I've become the thing I hate." Daniel listened, remembering his own breaking point, his own daughter's devastating question. He pulled out his old notebook. "1 year ago, I was where you are. Worse, maybe. Then I learned something." He told Marcus everything. Musashi, Takashi, the killing breath, the training, the choice. When he finished, Marcus was crying. Can you teach me? Daniel pulled out a fresh notebook. Starting now, for the next 30 days, every time you feel any anger, write it down. What triggered it, what you felt in your body, whether you use this breath. He demonstrated the killing breath carefully. Marcus tried it. That's it? That's the weapon. But the weapon is useless without awareness, without practice, without commitment. You have to want this more than you want revenge, more than you want to be right. Marcus gripped the notebook hard. I want it. I want to stop destroying everything I love. 6 months later, 12 men met in Daniel's garage every week, all of them fighting the same demon, all learning the same weapon. Daniel stood before them with quiet authority. This isn't anger management. This isn't therapy. This is warrior training. We're not learning to suppress our rage. We're learning to be faster than it, to strike before it strikes, to access empty mind before reactive mind can destroy everything. He showed them the killing breath, had them practice. Massive inhale, hold, explosive exhale. Then he told them the deeper truth that Takashi had taught him. This technique will save your life. Not literally, but it will save what matters. Your family, your career, your self-respect. But it only works if you practice, if you build the reflex, if you choose mastery over chaos every single day. Rage is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Every time it appears, it's showing you where you're still attached, where you still believe the world owes you something, where you still think reality should be different than it is. The killing breath is a weapon, but the real practice is acceptance. Reality is reality. People do what they do. Life unfolds as it unfolds. The moment you stop fighting what is, rage has nothing to feed on. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you act from clarity instead of chaos, from presence instead of reaction, from strength instead of reaction, from strength instead of weakness, by killing entitlement, by expecting nothing, by accepting everything, and from that acceptance, perfect action emerged. You're not training to suppress anger. You're training to become faster than it, to access empty mind before reactive mind can speak, to choose your response instead of being controlled by impulse. This is the warrior way. Not fighting external enemies, but fighting internal chaos. Not conquering the world, but conquering yourself. Because the man who cannot be provoked cannot be defeated. The man who controls his rage controls everything, not through force, but through discipline, not through violence, but through breath. In breath, 2 seconds, the kill switch that changes everything. Practice it, perfect it, pass it on. Because somewhere right now, a father is exploding at his daughter. A husband is destroying his marriage. A man is losing everything that matters because he never learned what you're learning. That rage is a choice. That mastery is possible. That the demon can be killed instantly, completely, forever, with one breath. The warrior who cannot be provoked cannot be defeated. Kill your rage. Become immovable. Walk with presence. The technique is simple, but the commitment is everything. Every day you choose, every moment you decide, will you be controlled by rage or will you control yourself? Will you be a puppet or will you cut the strings? Will you let the demon win or will you kill it where it stands? 2 seconds, one breath, your entire life hanging in the balance. What will you choose?